welcome. Yes, this is Artist on Art. Woohoo! I am your hostess, Nada Miljkovic. I have fabulous pleasures happening today. I have the wonderful Irene Tsouprake and Jon Luini here, co-organizers of TEDxSantaCruz. What a pleasure, both of you here in the studio. Irene, I'm going to speak about you first, give a little introduction to our dear audience. You are a Santa Cruz local.
I am.
You've been here for how long now?
Sort of. I mean, does it make you a local? I've been here almost 30 years. Does that mean I'm not really a local? I'm from the East Coast. Yeah.
So Irene is a writer, change agent, you like to call yourself, a heavily invested citizen, supermom, grandmother.
Yeah.
And you have been the speaker selection committee and co-organizer of TEDxSantaCruz since the beginning. This is going to be our third event coming up in March of 2014.
That's right, March 8th.
March 8th. And we're here today to talk about a big event that's happening. It's a launch of the TEDxSantaCruz 2014 Activate.
That's right.
I forgot my party favor.
So Irene is an artist. She is a writer, an actor, one-woman show producer, can do Medea and all parts of Medea, and is just a wonderful, caring capitalist, she also likes to call herself. And you have been a big mover and shaker, just like Jon and the four co-organizers since the beginning of TEDxSantaCruz, since its inception by David Warren, our
who was
founder.
the founding licensee of TED
Right.
Santa-Cruz. Yeah.
Irene, give us your pitch about what is it about TEDxSantaCruz? Why have you invested so much of your precious time and resources?
Well, first, thanks for acknowledging that for all of the organizers, because TEDx is an all-volunteer organization. And all of us have families and jobs and companies and other commitments in our community. And it does take a considerable amount of time and energy to birth a TEDx. And the reason that I do it, and I can't speak for everybody, but the reason I think we do it is that it is a platform to launch ideas worth spreading in the world. So it slingshots ideas into the world, and it creates synergy with people in our community and in other communities who are thinking innovatively, creatively, who are meeting the formidable challenges that society and the world faces today, and who are connecting with each other to do it.
Ah, fabulous.
Plus, it's fun.
Yeah.
Jon Luini.
Is it fun? Oh, yeah, that too.
Jon Luini, who is speaking here, the wonderful deep voice here, is also a co-organizer, also been heavily on the speaker selection committee. Yes, Jon?
Yeah.
And you're the guy, the media producer. You have been the capturer and manager and editor and broadcaster of the TEDxSantaCruz videos that we have.
Right, yeah. Well, somebody had to step in. It happened to be something that I had some experience in. So I think when you have a group of people coming together that all sort of have this idea of, oh, what can we do with this TEDx brand? And when they started going local, like they did, whoever has something to volunteer, you come in and kind of go, all right, well, we need this. How are we going to cover it? So that was one thing that was easy for me to do.
Because you have so much experience doing it.
Well, yeah, sure. I've been, doing a lot of video production in my professional life for the last decade.
You're a video producer, but you are a media maker. You produce websites. You have been on the cutting edge of media technology, the massive changes that's gone on from digital video to the internet for the last 25 years?
Something like that.
107.
Actually, I did create the internet back with rocks. I had a couple of big rocks, but
and you got into the internet when you moved to Santa Cruz.
Yeah. So
well, that's interesting coming up from LA. Where
no. I grew up in the East Bay.
Oh.
And so I sort of came down, but
you came down.
Yeah. It was. Those years were. That is exciting as you could imagine. Where this new opportunity of connecting people, across the world. I like to tell people I used the internet when you could go through every single FTP server in one night. It's like you could actually do it all night and go through all of them, which I guess people don't really do that anymore. But it was, small communities. But there's a very special scene in Santa Cruz, very specifically, and interesting combinations of, just technology and politics and art, all sort of, strangely enough, you could put that back into the TEDx Santa Cruz construct, right? That those same things are still very, very present here in our community. And so, TEDx is just a really great way to shine a light on those things.
I just want to talk about you for just another second, Jon, before we launch into what is TED, because there are people out there that need to have a little more explanation on TED and then what TEDx is, obviously. But there was an internet, the IUMA,
the Internet Underground Music Archive. Yes.
And this is something you began in 1986?
No. I came to Santa Cruz in 86. 93 is when IUMA started, and it was myself and a couple of partners, founders, UCSC students and such, and really incubated. Actually, up on campus was our very first little office that we had.
Oh.
And it was a very big change in what was possible, where you had the option to completely divorce, music from its physical form. And as we've seen in the years since then, many other things have gone that way as well. But music was just really well placed to have that separation, because all you have to do is hear it and feel it. It doesn't matter if it comes from a disc, a cassette, it's been through so many different other formats. But obviously, as people are probably very well aware, it has a lot of social things that come into play when you have that disconnection, and what is the value of the music, and what is the value of the art, and how do people support it, and how should they support it. And I could do a whole couple of shows on that.
We'll have to have you back on for sure. You're also a big mover and shaker behind the Strictly Bluegrass Festival, is that correct?
The Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival, I produced a video for that as well, and the last few years we've started doing webcasting as well.
And streaming?
Streaming, yeah. So that event is just, I can't say enough great things about it. Warren Hellman was just a huge fan of that kind of music and just wanted to do something great, and to make it a gift, a free gift to San Francisco and the community in the Bay Area that has grown. So people are flying from all across the world, and you can come one weekend, that first weekend of October, and see more music for free. Just pay for your flight out here, and you'll save money still from trying to see it everywhere else.
Right.
And it's amazing, and the impact it's had on the music as well, of getting it to more people, and but even more importantly than that, for the artists as well, it becomes this great experience for them, because it's not commercial, so you don't see your signs for beer and all that. And it really has a change in the atmosphere that people who go to see the show also appreciate. And then it has a very family vibe. So you have artists sitting in with each other and stuff like that. It's really just so great. So much good music. Everything from Robert Plant and Elvis Costello and Bonnie Raitt and Go-Go Bordello a few years. But then, those big names. But then you have, the classic, Ralph Stanleys and Earl Scruggs and these pioneers. Who are, some of which have left, unfortunately, since the festival started. And then all the next generation of bands coming up, just so great. Devil Makes Three, that was here. I remember seeing them at a coffee shop, and they're like, "Where can we get some gigs?" And then 2 years later, they were playing up at Bluegrass. It's really great.
You really have your finger on the pulse of the music scene. I think I see you as one of those people. You're in cahoots all over the place, and it's a great pleasure to have both Jon Luini and Irene Tsouprake here to talk about TEDx Santa Cruz and the big event that's happening November 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. Folks, write this down on your calendar if you're not driving. And we want y'all to come out there.
At the Hotel Paradox.
At the Hotel Paradox and the Solaire Bar and Restaurant. And we're going to be having a video presentation of some the promo for this upcoming TEDx Santa Cruz 2014 Activate. We're also going to have for those that are over 21, taster of the special TEDx
Signature Tedx
Santa Cruz.
Activate Cocktail.
Yeah, get your Activate on. You're going to become activated with this drink.
That's right. And then we're going to have...
It's just Red Bull and tequila. No, we really don't know what it is yet, but that would not be a bad Activate cocktail.
It's actually just going to be water, but we're going to make people think that it's something else.
Right, there you go. And so we're also going to have a video booth for people to pitch, do a quick 2-minute pitch of an idea that they feel needs or is worthy of spreading out there.
Yeah, and I would encourage people that, there are a lot of people that have those ideas that have been burning in their brain and like, oh, well, I got to do something about this. That's one great opportunity to come down and like see if you can distill that down to a couple minutes. But I also equally encourage people that have no clue whatsoever. Just come, and see what inspires you. Have a conversation with people. It's nothing that's too formal. It's really just a fun way to get some ideas out there, and you never know what might come from it. Too.
That's right.
It might turn into a great presentation on the stage.
Right. If you think you have a TEDx talk in you, or you know of somebody who does, and you know about their idea, this is a very informal way to share with us and the curation team and speaker committee who you are or who your friends are in the community and who you think ought to be on that stage.
And so they can go to TEDxSantaCruz.org and you'll get all the information there. There's an online form in which you can submit somebody.
Nominate yourself or somebody else to speak.
I like how you spell out the ORG. It makes me think that there's going to be, they come out with new top-level domains every once in a while. There's going to be a .omg. I'm predicting.
OMG.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably already out there.
TEDxSantaCruz.omg.
So TEDx, TED stands for, Irene, you want to give the audience?
Sure. Stands for Technology Entertainment Design, and was a really private conference in started in the Monterey area in the early 1980s, and it's funny because I was working for a event production company at the time, and we were handling some really odd things for this conference, including transportation. And I would say, why is Al Gore and Bono and I could not believe the mix of people who were in attendance, and that was my first understanding of what TED was, and that gives you an idea. It really is, if you could talk about a conference that was whole brain, that you were talking about science and math and music and art, and that it's a whole brain conference.
And not all, but many videos are available, and many people are maybe familiar with the TED videos that are online. They give them out for free. It goes back to the archive that Jon did and began in the early 90s.
Well, if you think about just using the internet as a very efficient way to store a heck of a lot of information, TED was kind enough to change their whole sort of process to say, we're going to give this content out there and these amazing talks to inspire further ideas to sort of spread further. And it became sort of a movement in itself. Most people either are really fanatical about it, like I've watched 3,000 TED videos, or but some people still haven't heard of it. But usually, if you use any of the social networks, you probably have come across your friends sharing a TED video of some sort with you.
Right.
And then then that sort of dovetails over the years into TEDx.
Yeah, the idea
Irene
that
Tsouprake.
I want to say first that those TED Talks, what happened, if you really want to talk about a TED Talk, it is taking a brilliant idea, people at the top of their field innovating, printing kidneys, and seriously, 3D printing, talking about the idea of 3D printing guns and what that means. Are they registered now? There are all kinds of people doing innovative work in every field, and they are distilling that talk. It's the talk of their life in 4 to 18 minutes.
That's right.
And so if you think about the distillation of anything to the essence of what it is, whether you're looking in a pot of color and you're a painter, it is the distillation that creates the energy and the excitement and the inspiration around that. And several years ago, TED decided they were going to share those talks with the world. They put them up on YouTube. TED Talks have been viewed over 1 billion times.
Oh, my gosh. Well, we here at TEDx Santa Cruz, we have had quite a few, hundreds of thousands of people look at the videos that came out of our TEDx Santa Cruz events. We did one in 2010, 2011, and the next one will be March 8th, 2014. Activate, and this year it'll be a change of venue. Usually we've been doing it at the Cabrillo Vapa building. We're going to be doing it this year at the Hotel Paradox.
Yeah,
indeed. You know, and the thing about the different videos, I mean, each event has its own theme, of course, and so you don't just get like a ton of video content, you know, or a ton of people up there. One of the things that for TEDx Santa Cruz that we really focus on in our selection of the talks is finding those themes and finding ways that they all sort of have a nice, you know, sort of through line that goes through. And this is something that Irene definitely works a lot on, especially when she ends up being on stage as an MC too. She has to hold it all together. But
the weaver.
There's just amazing things that come from working with the presenters that we have, where sometimes what they initially start with thinking they're going to talk about has this really natural, organic way of sort of changing just in a little bit of ways so it really fits together, almost like a jigsaw puzzle that you didn't start with pieces that all fit together, but at the end it sort of does.
Yeah, I just want to extrapolate on that a little. You might have a stump talk. You might have an idea that you have been sharing around the world. There's something about getting to the distillation of that idea and adding an element or a dimension to it of how did you come up with this idea? Why? What did it mean to you? What changed you? What inspired you? That all gets woven into the story of, I have a 3D printer that prints kidneys. Now, what's the backstory on that? That a 10-year-old boy was dying and there was no donor. And so, people innovated. What are we going to do? And to see a child like that walk on stage 19 years later and stand with the doctor who did that, that is what a TED Talk is. It is the way that we connect people's stories to each other. And I want to say, we've talked about it being a springboard, and a slingshot to slingshotting ideas in the world. And I was on the phone with the New York TEDx people, and we were talking about how you market an event like this. And I said, here's the best way I know. We have a speaker, Jonathan Trent, who did an algae to energy project with NASA. He did a TED Talk on TED. He spoke at TEDx San Jose. He spoke at TEDx Santa Cruz. He's local. That TED Talk got picked up by TED Main Stage. They invited him to TED Global in Edinburgh. He walked on stage at the end of his talk. Chris Anderson walks up to him and says, so are you looking for VC money? Now, I don't know how you take an idea.
That's a pretty direct path.
It's a pretty direct path to stand in front of the world and say, are you looking for VC money? I want to give Jonathan Trent incredible credit, because what took it to the TED level was he actually said, no, we're giving it away for free. It was mind-blowing. That is how a TED Talk that can start here in this city can be springboarded into the world. So,
whew, you got me good there, Irene. I'm telling you, a lot of TED Talks make me cry, folks. Just so you know.
Well, I think the idea of taking that idea of life's work and distilling it, it's incredibly challenging for anybody to do that. But it's one of those things, it's like the biggest, greatest challenge you can have, like the satisfaction that you get. And it's almost like, even if you didn't give that talk, that's still a great experience to go through, to sort of figure out, well, what is it that is really relevant about this great idea that I have? And for us, I think, to participate in that process of saying, like, all right, tell us your story, and then sort of saying, all right, these are the things that, oh my God, this was so amazing.
Chills.
Yeah, like that moment, like, focus on that moment a little bit more, and this other stuff, it's important to you, but that part is not going to pull the people in with you, and you need to trim a little bit there. But it's just to see that process go through, and then to watch it come out on the stage and be in that community of people who are there, and then seeing them all sort of riff off of it, and what new ideas it inspires as well.
God, it's so exciting.
That whole circular thing is pretty amazing.
So there's going to be people that have gone through this process that you're talking about, Jon Luini and Irene Tsouprake. They're going to be at the TEDxSantaCruz 2014 Activate launch at the Hotel Paradox.
That should really be an acronym.
November 21st.
The TEDxSantaCruz.
Speakers, former speakers are going to be joining us to talk about their experiences, possibly, if they feel moved. But we're all going to be mingling and talking with each other.
Yeah.
We're calling out to people that want to speak themselves. please go to TEDxSantaCruz.org and nominate yourself or nominate whoever you think would be a great TEDx Santa Cruz speaker. And we're also asking for people that want to volunteer. They want to be a part of the creation of the next TEDx event.
Yep. Yeah, it's a glorious community.
And we're looking for sponsors. If you feel moved and want to help us, and maybe don't have the time, there's other ways that we can.
Sure, we're always
help.
looking for sponsors. It costs money to produce this event. The speakers speak for free. The production team, the organizers all work for free, but this is really a way to highlight the best of who this community is, to springboard those ideas into the world, to meet the challenges that we're meeting. I want to say we're also looking for artists, musicians. We have always, I always talk about whole brain ideas and whole brain learning. And the idea is that, it's only in the space that the white space we get to create, the way we tell our stories, that ideas, if we give ourselves the white space, those ideas, that's how they emerge. So I want to talk about dancers who know about astrophysics. I want them to weave that story for me. I want to see, we had guitar maker Jeff Trago on, who talked about taking a piece of wood out in the forest and listening to that wood sing and that instrument emerging. And so, we had Allie Cooper and
aerial artist.
Yeah, aerial artist Allie Cooper and Logrit, who just did an incredible event. And I just want to add one more thing, and then anybody else jump in here, but we've actually curated sort of a 3-meeting arc over the last 3.5 years. And the first TEDx was Engage. We really were trying to just tell our community about who we were and what was available and get them listening. The next event was Open, and we really pushed people further. Like, what does that mean? Open source, open government, open hearts. Whitney Smith, who started Girls for Change and thought she was going to talk about that organization, which is world-renowned, ended up talking about her mother's murder and how her heart broke open and how it made her see the world rippling open. So, there are multiple elements to the idea of the way this event goes. We're not just looking for speakers. We're looking for artists, spoken word, musicians, dancers.
Yeah, and at this point in that particular event, we have so much that is still open about how it's going to come together. So it's going to be really driven by the people that step forward and how we're going to use, we're in a new space, so we're thinking about things very differently too. And the way that we integrate all of those different aspects, technology, entertainment, design, those are going to be, that's a really exciting thing. When we live in a place like Santa Cruz where there's so much creativity and so much brilliance, to find ways to get all those pieces and throw them together and see how does this come out and how does it reflect Santa Cruz? And how does it allow us to also showcase to the world what Santa Cruz has to offer? And there's another thing I wanted to mention, too, which is this idea of, TEDx Santa Cruz, because the TEDx brand has some good awareness, and people hopefully know a good thing about it. But there's so many other things that are going on each month in Santa Cruz that are about showcasing and developing, our voice.
Oh yeah, the
Pechacucha, the Event Santa Cruz, the next talks.
Hone your talks
there all those
too.
Things. And I think that is something that Santa Cruz stands to do a better job of showcasing what we have here.
Yeah.
And all these things are really great. And so I encourage everybody to embrace their inner story, and figure out what it is that gets them excited and what ideas they have. And if they feel like they can do it, come down and give us their nomination. But if not, go to any of those other places and continue to work on it. Because, the more that we all engage in talking with each other, the more problems we're going to be able to solve.
The better we can get to activate, which was the third peg of our 3 arc.
Activate.
Engage, open, activate. Now we're really focused on that idea of activation. What ideas have been activated? How did you come up with those ideas? This is really a forum for ideas worth spreading. Everybody has wonderful stories. This isn't the place for that. Though a story can move people deeply, this is about ideas worth spreading. It might be a what you would consider a soft idea, like Brene Brown's vulnerability. Talk on vulnerability and how critical that is to be able to admit mistakes so that you can keep going and do better. It might be a talk like that. That's an idea worth spreading. I want to say this is highly, highly curated. This isn't a 3-day event. There aren't going to be 50 speakers on that stage. There are going to be about 12 to 16. So get your game on, Santa Cruz, because we're looking for you. Activate.
Activate. That's right, folks. Come down November 21st to the Hotel Paradox in the Solaire Restaurant and Grill. We're going to be having a TEDxSantaCruz 2014 Activate launch party, and we're calling out for volunteers, calling out for speaker nominations, calling out for sponsorship, and calling out for artistic collaboration. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Irene Tsouprake.
How much does it cost to go to that launch party?
Yeah, that's free to the public.
Free and open to the public, and you don't have to be 21 and over to come. But
you get a drink sampler, but if you're going further, come over and see me. I might buy you a drink myself if you have a good idea.
That's right. If you don't want to do the 2-minute video pitch, you can start with just a pitch to Irene directly.
That's right.
And if it's good enough, she'll buy you a drink.
That's right. You heard it.
There you go. Jon Luini, we didn't even talk about your work with Chime and all the wonderful musicians that you've been working with over the years. But another time, I hope.
Another time to chime.
That's right. Jon Luini, Irene Tsouprake, thank you so much for coming on the show. Y'all, please stay tuned. I've got some wonderful people here to talk about It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play put on by Shakespeare's Santa Cruz. I've got Nancy Carlin and Gary Allen Wright up next. You are listening to KZSC Santa Cruz. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a great day.